Welcome, guys, to another episode. Welcome, Sil. Welcome, Miss Brown. Teflon, big up, you know.
Hi guys, good morning. Welcome. Welcome Teflon, Miss Brown, Sil, Wagwan, Chris. I guess many persons' brains are lazy this morning. Raymond, are you hearing me?
Yeah, me I hear properly. You hear me? Alright, I
Oh
can
yeah, I'm
start
just
now.
hearing. All right. So as you see the headline for the video, rounding off decimal. So I was trying to get my platform up for this morning, but it wasn't working. Hopefully. So it's gonna be about half an hour. I'm not gonna do the entire hour because I'm going to Pennsylvania this morning. So we're gonna get on with it. Is there, guys, remember when I said yesterday, if there's a topic that you want me to go through for your child, for your friend, I can do a video on that topic and you guys can have them watch the video. So persons who are doing CXC or A-level math back home, you guys, if you have any friend or family down there having difficulty with math and they need help, they can just type the topic in the comment and then I'll go through that particular topic. Here, persons who are here in the States who have issues with like persons who are going to do EOC exam is this December, or ACT exam, or even GED. If you guys are having issue with math, you just type the topics in the comment and I will do videos on those topics. All right. Again, welcome. All right, so we're going to be rounding off this morning. And everybody know what is a decimal, right? A decimal is something with a point in it. So 0.567. So when you look at this decimal, it is 3 decimal points. It's 3 decimal places. So it means you're going to have 3 figures behind the decimal point. But some cases, persons ask, what? I want this to be rounded off to the nearest 2 decimal point. And in doing so, you have to look. So we know it's 2. We are going to have 2 placeholders right after the decimal point. So we're going to look to the third. And if it is greater than 5, we have to add 1 to the second term. So it's going to be 0.57 because 7 is greater than 5. So you're going to add 1 to 6. And so this is rounded off to the 2 second decimal place. So this is 2 decimal place, 2 dp. This one, as I said, was 3 dp. And sometimes they ask us to round it off to 1 decimal point. What would this be as 1 decimal point? 1 decimal place. What would your answer be as 1 decimal place? Anybody want to try? Okay, Mr. Bright Sparks, Raymond. Yes, so one decimal place would be 0.6. Why? When you look to your right, you see that number is greater than 5, so you're going to add 1 to 5. And so it's going to be 0.6. Great job. No, sometimes they ask us to round it off to the nearest whole number. Can we round this off to the nearest whole number? We can, because if you look behind the decimal place, you see that that is greater than 5 or greater. So you can, if you round this off to the nearest whole number, the nearest whole number would be 1. So this can be written as 1 if it is asked, if you guys are asked to round it off to the nearest whole number. Again, if you're asked 2 decimal places, that's it. 1 decimal place. Is there any question from anybody? Greetings, Jay. Do anybody have any question as to how I got those? No question? All right. I'm going to give you guys one to try. I'm going to ask you guys to round this off to the nearest 2 decimal places and type your answers in the chat. So 1.865, you're going to round that off to the nearest 2 decimal place. Okay, okay, good. Oh, I forgot that he's in Jamaica. Jay, you're in Jamaica? I guess, oh, so they will be still in school. Mm-hmm. Which subject you teach, Jay? Anybody with the answer? 1.865 to the nearest 2 decimal place. Yeah, yeah, they. Which subject you teach? Anybody still primary school? Oh, so you're all rounder. All right, cool. Come on, Jay. Remember, you're in a profession. Don't say that. All right, so 1.865. Still waiting on some answers. I only see Raymond. We're gonna tell you if you're right or you're wrong. Okay, no problem. I know. Yep. So you got to get it right. I don't know if I could manage primary school kids. I mean, I have 2, my son and my daughter, but and I have to help them, but that's how far it gets. Anybody else? Everybody cooking with Miss Brown. So Chris says 1.9. All right, Chris. We're gonna look at the correct answer in a few, if you guys were correct or not. Jay, what's your answer, Jay? Not because you're in class. Come give me your answer. Primary school students are a bit talkative, right? A lot talkative. Back here in high school, I mean, even when I was in JA, teaching at, I used to teach at St. Jacob High School. And they were, I mean, I feel like high school, you're able to control them a bit more. Okay. Okay, so you're the opposite of me. I don't like English much. I don't know how I got a grade 1 in it back home. So I got grade 1 in English literature and grade 1 in language. But that's where it ends. So Jay say 1.9 as well. All right, so let us look. If we look at 1.865 and we want two decimal place, rounding it off to the nearest two decimal place, it means you're going to be looking at the numbers behind the decimal point. So we're going to look at the numbers behind. So this is 1, that's 2, right? So when you round this off, it would be to two decimal places, it would be 1.8. You look to your right, it's 5 or more, 1.87. So to two decimal place, it would be 1.87. Okay, yes, congrats. All right, rounding off to the nearest 1 dp. 1 dp. What's your answers? We're rounding this off 1.87 to the nearest 1 decimal place. All right, so there goes our correct answer. Yes. So it is going to be 1.9. Because when you look to your right, it is greater than 5, so you add 1 to the 8, so it's going to be 1.9. And now to the nearest whole number. Let us see what you guys do with that one. We're rounding off 1.9 or 1.87 or 1.6, 1.865. We're rounding them off to the nearest whole number. So what would that be? Look at my bright sparks. Yes. Congrats, Chris. Congrats, Jay and Raymond. Yes, we look to the right. It's greater than 5, so we're going to add 1. So to the nearest whole number, it would indeed be 2. Good job. All right. All right. What if we were converting now from a decimal to a fraction? We want to convert from a decimal to a fraction. How do we go about that? From a decimal to a fraction. Anybody can tell me how we would convert from a decimal to a fraction? Or do you guys still want some more rounding off problems? Raymond, what about you? I don't see Taryn. Taryn would have been here. Yes, Empress. So as a decimal, as a fraction, so when you're converting, you see how many decimal places there are. So in this case, it's 1. So you take that 1 out, so it means you're going to be multiplying by 10. So this as a fraction would be 8 over 10, right? And that can be reduced, right? Reduce 8 over 10. We look at that in our last video. Reduce 8 over 10 to its... Okay, you want rounding off? Sure, I'll go back to rounding off in a few. 8 over 10 as a reduced term. Reduce this one and reduce this fraction for me, making it into its simplest form. So you're going to look for a number that can go into both 8 and 10 without leaving a remainder and reduce that. All right, Empress, that's good. So reducing 8, so we can use 2. 2 into 8 goes 4 times, and 2 into 10 goes 5 times. So our reduced fraction would be 4 over 5. All right, good job. Raymond, you don't even wait. Oh my God. So, all right. So congrats, Empress and Raymond. All right. So we're gonna be going back a little bit to rounding because Jay requests. All right, so we're going to say 20.056. And we want to round this off to the nearest two decimal place. To the nearest two decimal place. Remember, we're rounding off to the nearest two decimal places. Anybody else? So we have an answer from Empress. So we're going to see who else was going to come with it. Remember the question. We're rounding off to the nearest two decimal places. So it's 20.056. All right, so let's look at it. Remember, two decimal places you're going to count. This is 1, this is 2. So when you look at the second decimal place that you want, so you want to stop it 2 decimal places. So 0, 2, and you're going to look to your right. Is it greater than 5? So we're going to add 1 to this. So it's going to be 20.06. Remember, I say 2 decimal places. So it's going to be 20.06. Do you guys get it? Do you guys understand that one? Any question about it? Any question, Empress? Do you guys have a question, Jay? How did I get 20.06? Or you got it? All right. So one person said they understood. Jay, do you get it? All right. So I'm going to redo this one. All right. We were asked to round this off to the nearest 2 dp, to the nearest 2 decimal place. In rounding off to the nearest 2 decimal place, you're going to count the amount of places behind the decimal point. So this is 1 place behind, this is 2 place behind. So that's where we want to cut off. We want to cut it off right here. But in order to cut off at this point, we have to look to the right. If there's a number there, if there's a number there, if it is greater than 5, we have to add 1 to that number. So it's going to be adding 1 to 5. And so our 2 decimal place would be 20.06. All right. So remember, the decimal place would be how many decimal places. So even in primary school or in the middle schools here, when they ask you to round off, so they ask you to round off to 2 decimal place. And even high school, my students are still having problems with this. My grade 12 students are having issues because they don't know what to do when they are asked to round off to 2 decimal place. Right, right. Learning is a process. We're always growing, we're always learning, right? Even me as an educator, I'm still learning. Yeah. So 20.06 would be 2 decimal place. Now let us see what you guys do for 1 decimal place. Remember, it is that place right after the decimal point. Okay. So this will help, right? True, Empress. That is so true. All right, look at my bright sparks shooting in the answers. Yes. So we have Empress and Raymond. What do you say, Jay? So we are rounding this off to the nearest 1 decimal place, 1 dp. So 20.06 to the nearest 1 dp. Hi, Nika. Welcome. Aren't you going to school today? Or you're on break? All right. So yes. So we're going to be again looking at, thank you for the answer, Nika. So we're going to be looking at one decimal place that's there. That's where we want to cut off. When we look at that one decimal place and we look to the right, we see that's greater than 5. So we're going to be adding 1 to 0. So 0 plus 1 is 1. And so to the nearest 1 dp, that would be 20.1. Oh, got you, got you. Got you, Nikki. All right, so we're going to round off this now to the nearest whole number. To the nearest whole number. 20.1 to the nearest whole number. All right, one person have responded. Raymond, Empress, yes. Let us see what you guys coming in with. So we're rounding 20.1 to the nearest whole number. All right, so Empress changes, Jay and Nika. All right, so congrats to Empress, Nika, and Jay. Yes. Raymond. All right, so when we look at, this is the whole number, right? This is the whole number right here before the decimal point. And so if you look to the right, is it greater than 5? No. So we cut that off. We don't use that anymore. So that one is gone. And so to the nearest whole number, it would indeed be 20. Good job. Yes, you got it wrong, Ray. All right, let us look at another one. Let us see. All right, I don't want to challenge you that much yet. So let us look at 21.56. We're rounding this off to the nearest 1 dp. To the nearest 1 dp. 21.56 to the nearest 1 dp. All right, Raymond is in with his answer. Empress and Nika. All right, so, and J. All right, so to the nearest 1 dp, so we're counting off behind the decimal place, 1. So that's where we want to cut off. And then we look to the right, it's greater than 5. And so we're going to add 1 to that 5, make it 6. So to 1 dp, it would be 21.6. Great job. All right, whole number. Good job, guys. So good job, Raymond, Empress, and Nika, and Jay. All of you guys got it correct. So to the nearest whole number, what would that be now? 21.6 to the nearest whole number. What? This looks like a smiley face? All right, so Empress first with her answer. And then Jay and Nika and Raymond. So yes. So the nearest whole number, again, this is the whole number. We look to the right, it's greater than 5. So we add 1 to that number, and it makes it 22. So to the nearest whole number. All right, so you guys are getting it. So let us challenge you a bit. 1 point. So let me start with here. 1.89. To the nearest 1 dp. To the nearest 1 dp. That's what we're looking for. All right, so Yes, you are all correct. 1.9 to the nearest whole number. I'm going to step it up after this. So this is 1 dp. To the nearest whole number, what is that? All right, good job, Empress, J, Raymond, Anika. Yes, it's 2 because this is greater than 5. And so we add 1. Now, let us see what you guys do with this. 1.999. Round that off to the nearest 2 dp. Round off 1.99 to the nearest 2 dp. Let me see what you guys do. What are you guys thinking of when you're looking at this problem? And this is one that challenges most persons, even in high school. We want to see what you guys think when you see a problem like this. 1.999 to the nearest 2 dp. What do you think of? All right, I see Empress with her answer. All right, yeah, I see Nika with her answer. I see Jay and I see Raymond. All right, so let's look at this. They want us to look at for the nearest 2 dp, right? So we're going to look at 1, 2, right there. We look to the right, it's greater than 5. But when we add 1 to this, it makes it 10. So that's a 0, right? We add 1 to here, it makes it 10. So that's another 0. And we add 1. So it's going to be 2.00. Let me explain again. Okay, yes, it's 2. So if they do ask you though for 2 dp, you have to put in 0.00 to represent those 2 placeholders, right? So you can't just write 2. We know it's just 2, but because they asked us for 2 dp, you have to put a decimal point and add those 2 zeros in. All right. So every value or every number that you add 1 to, so you add 1 to 9, it makes it 10. We can't just put down 1 0. So we have to put 0 and add 1. And then we say 10 again. We put our 0 and add 1. And so 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So great job, Nika. So Nika was the one that got this. Congrats. Where's Raymond with this? All right. So yes. All right. Let us see if we're thinking. Round this off to the nearest whole number for me, everybody. 2.005 to the nearest whole number. All right, I see Raymond with an answer. I see Jay. I see Empress. And I see Nika. All right, so the nearest whole number, guys, you look to your right. That's your whole number. You look to your right. It's less than 5, so we're just going to cut those off. And so our answer is 2. What is it, Jay? So the answer is 2 to the nearest whole number. So congrats, Empress, Nika, and Raymond. Well tried, Jay. What were you thinking, Jay? Tell me, share your thoughts. What were you thinking? Remember, when we have to look at what is behind the whole number. So behind the whole number, we have a 0, right? And 0 is not 5 or greater. So we have to, we are going to just cut those off. So those are going to be just, oh, gotcha. So yes, so your answer is 2. Great job, guys. Now, guess what you guys are going to do for me? You're going to solve a fraction for me, and then you're going to round it off to the nearest whole number. So we looked at addition, we looked at division, we looked at subtraction of fractions, we looked at multiplication of fractions, we look at reducing fractions, and we look at converting a fraction into a decimal. Jay, even in school now, we have to, most times before they ask you to round off anything, they give you a problem to solve, right? So they always give you guys a problem to solve, and then they say round your answer off to the nearest 2 decimal place. Round your answer off to the nearest 1 decimal place. So we're going to look at a fraction here, and then I'm going to ask you guys to round it off. All right, let us look at, you want a simple multiplication? Let us look at a simple multiplication for those who didn't miss the fraction. So we're going to say 0.25 multiplied by 0.1. So multiply 0.25 times 0.1 and round that off to the nearest 1 dp. So 0.25 times 0.1 and round that off to the nearest dp, 1 dp. All right, you want me to show you an example first? All right, so let us multiply this. So how would we multiply a decimal? I'm going to show you how I do it, and then it can probably help you guys, or even help your children or your stepkids or whomever that needs help. So when we look at 0.25, I normally take the decimal points out. So I know I'm going to take out 2 decimal points here. So that's 2 dp. And I'm taking out 1 here. So that's 1 dp. So in all, I'm taking out 3 dp's. I'm taking out 3 decimal points, right? And so I'm going to be multiplying these as whole numbers. So 25 times 1, right? And so that's 5 ones, 5. And 1 times 2, that's 2 ones, 2. And so my answer here is 25, right? So now I'm going to be adding back my dp's in. I'm going to be adding my dp's in. So I know I took out 3 decimal places. I'm going to put those back in. How do I do so? I'm going to put my pointer at the bottom or at the back of my number. And I'm going to move it 3 places to your left. So it's going to be 1 place, 2 place, 3 place. And so I'm going to put my decimal point right there. And add a 0 just for that placeholder. So once you have a placeholder, you're going to put a 0 in for that, right? So in this case, our answer now is going to be 0.025. So that's how I'll do this. Do you guys get this? So again, I normally take, I'm just reviewing. So I take out how many decimal points I have just to make it a whole number, because we can multiply a whole number, but it's difficult to multiply decimal points. So I normally take them out. So I take them out. So that's 1, 2, and I take those out. And this is 1. I had them together. So I know I took out in all 3 decimal points. All right. And at the end, when I finish multiplying 25 now times 1, I just add those in. I add those in, right? Do you guys get that part of it? So I multiply 25 times 1, and that gives me 25. And then I have to remember that I have to put back my 3 decimal points. My 3 decimal points are normally counted from the back of my number that I got. And I move it, the amount of points. So if it is 3, I move it 1, 2, 3. Put the point. I have an empty space here, so I have to add a 0 right there. And so that's why I got that. So to...
Or you know how much decimal places shouldn't take off or them put back.
All right. So for look at this. This was 0.25, right? 0.25. How many places I have to move this to your right to make it a whole number?
2.
Yes. Okay, no problem, Jay. It's 2, right? So we're going to take it out 2 places. So we know that that's 2 dp that we just took out of this 25, 0.25. Right? And for 0.1, how many places I have to move the decimal point to make it a whole number? 1, right? So what I did, I took out this 2 and this 1. So in all, I took out 3 decimal points, right? You see that, right? So in all, I took out 3 decimal points. Empress, did
Yeah,
you
I
get that?
understand now.
All right. And because I took out 3 decimal point, I made them a whole number. So they are now whole numbers. So I took them out just to make them whole numbers because it's easier to multiply a whole number than a decimal. And these questions you guys are not allowed to use like a calculator in the test, or your kids won't use a calculator because they are going to ask them to see if they are reasoning. And even for CXC, it all has to do with reasoning. So if you can take them out and add them back in after, it would be very simple for you guys. So you will make them whole number, take out 2, take out 1 in all 3, multiply the whole numbers. We got 25. And all we did at that point now is to put back our 3 DPs. So again, when you're putting back your 3 DPs, you have to start at the back, and then you move the amount of places that you took out, you're going to put them back in. So we put 1, 2, 3, and so those are our 3 decimal points. Now we're going to round it off now. So this is our answer for that. Our answer, we're going to round it off to the nearest 1. So it's going to be 0. This is our first one. We look to the right. It's less than 5. So our answer would be 0.0. That's not really an answer, but that's what we got, right? So 0.0, that would be to the nearest 1 dp. Do you guys get it? Should I do another one? Another multiplication by decimal? Great job, Nika. So Nika got it correct. Any questions? You guys good with this? All right, I'm going to give you one more to try, or one more. I'm going to go over one more, and then I'm going to give you one to try. All right, so here we go. We're going to have, say, 1.52, and we're going to multiply that by, say, 0.5. All right, so we have 1.52 and 0.5, and we're going to try to get them to be a whole number so we can multiply directly. And then we have to remember, once we take the decimal point out, we have to remember to put them back in. All right? What is it, Ray? Empress, are you here? Hey, Mo5, thank you for coming in. What is wrong with your brain, Raymond? Empress, are you still here? Nika? I know Nika is probably here still. Man, it's a Mofata bright boy. All right. So let us. All right. So let us try to get this one. Remember, we're going to try to take the decimal points out in order to make it a whole number. So we're going to take out the decimal point. So we're moving 1, 2. So we're taking out 2 decimal place here. So it's now 152. We're going to multiply now. We're going to try to take this out as well. Okay. We're taking out 1 decimal point here. So it's going to be 1 dp. So in all, we are taking out 3 dp's. 3 decimal points. Yeah, I understand, Jay. All right, so we're taking out 3 decimal points. So that's now going to be 5. We're going to be multiplying by 5. So we have whole numbers multiplying by, which is easier to multiply by the whole number again than decimal, because some persons go making mistakes when they're multiplying by decimal. So 152 multiplied by 5. Remember, you're not allowed to use a calculator. And then we're going to be multiplying. 5 times 2. Who know your timetable? 5 2s or 2 5s? Yes, thank you. 10. So when you get your 10, you're going to put your 0. You're going to add 1 to your next number in line. And so 5 times 5 is what? 5 5s. Yeah, 5 5s, 25. So we're going to add this 1 to the 25. So 5 5s, 25 plus 1 makes this 26. So we're going to put our 6 and bring across our 2. Right? 5 1s, 5 plus 2 makes 7. So 760. Great job, Moffat. Moffat is the bright boy in my class, you know. But let us see what he's gonna do with this. So now Moffat, we have to make it back a decimal. So we're gonna put back 3 decimal point in our answer. What is that as a decimal? 760, and you're gonna put back 3 decimal points in. What do you guys get? We have 13 minutes, 18 minutes remaining. Okay, so Nika said 0.760 and Raymond as well. So let us see what we'll do. So we remember it was initially a decimal, so we have to get back a decimal. And again, we take out the decimal points just to be able to multiply the whole number. So now we're going to be putting them back in the place, right? So we're going to start to your right, and we're going to move to the left 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And so our answer is now 0.760. Good job. Now round off 0.760 to the nearest 1 decimal place. 0.760 to the nearest 1 decimal place. I think Jay's answer has had a delay for the first part. So we're rounding off J, 0.760 to the nearest 1 dp. So we have Nika and Raymond giving their answers. All right. Thank you, Jay. All right, so let us look at what the answer is. So when we look, so this is 1 decimal place behind the point. So that's where we're going to cut off. And then we have to look to the right. If the number to the right is greater than 5, we have to add 1 to that number. So it's going to be 0.8, right? So yes, the 1 dp is 0.8. Great job. All right. So let's give you guys 2 to try on your own. And you're going to round those off, your answers to the nearest 1 dp for these. So you're going to multiply for me, and then you're going to give me your answers to 1 decimal place. And we're coming down to the end. All right, so 0.025 multiplied by 0.02. And remember, we want 1 decimal place. All right, let us put this because this is more numbers. So I'm going to say 2dp. So 2dp for the first one. And the second one, 1.765, 1.735 multiplied by 1.2. And this is going to be to the nearest 1dp and to the nearest whole number. So those two are yours. So type your answers in the chat when you're finished. So number one, you're going to multiply that. Remember, take out the decimal point to make it whole number. And the amount of decimal points you take out, you remember you have to put them back in. And then when you get that answer, you're going to round it off to the nearest 2dp. And for number two, you're going to multiply again to the nearest 1dp and to the nearest whole number. Remember, take out the decimal points. So if we take out 3, you have to remember this one as well. So take out 3 and 1 is 4. You have to remember to put those 4 DPs back in at the end. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to give me your answers. So write number 1 and what was your answer for number 1? And number 2, what's your answer for number 2? So these are my last two, and then I'm going to give you guys some for homework. All right, you guys can start posting your answers in the chat. Okay, I understand, Empress. All right, so for the first one, were you able to get the part where I was multiplying by a decimal, Empress? Or no, you didn't get there? All right, so we are multiplying by a decimal, and then we're going to try to round off to the nearest decimal point that is asked for. I guess you have missed there, so we're going to be looking. I'm going to do number one, and we can see what we're doing. All right. So I guess you guys take off number one and two. Have had Nika's answer for both of them. I only got one answer from Raymond, and I got two answers from Moffat. So let's do it. So 0.025 multiplied by 0.02. Normally, when we're asked to multiply by a decimal, we have to try to, as I said before, I think it's easier to work with a whole number than a decimal. It's easier to multiply a whole number than a decimal. So I always take out the decimal points and then I put them back in after I got my answer. So what do I do? So we are going to take out the decimal point. 1, 2, 3. So we take out 3 decimal points here, right? And then we're going to make this a whole number as well. So we're taking it out 1, 2. And so we're taking out 2 decimal points here. So now this is become 25 because it's a whole number multiplied by 2. You got that part of it? Do you guys get that part of it? So I took out my decimal points. So I took out 3 decimal points here to make it a whole number. And I took out 2 decimal points here to make it a whole number of 2. Then I can go ahead and multiply. 25 times 2. 2 5s 10, put a 0, carry your 1. 2 2s 4, and 1 5. And so our answer here is 50. Now we're going to put back how many decimal points we had here. 3 and 2, so it's 5 decimal points. So we have to put back 5 decimal points in this. How do we do that though? So we know that we took out 5, we have to put them back in. In order to put them back in, we have to start. So we create a decimal point at the end of our answer. And we're going to divide. So we're going to move the decimal points back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so for those placeholders, we're going to use zeros. So this multiplied 0.025 multiplied by 0.02 is answer is equal to 0.00050. That's your answer. So you see how instead of, because this part, as I said to you guys, you are not allowed to use a calculator when you're doing this. Hi, Taryn. Thank you for coming in. All right. So we're not allowed to use a calculator for this in an exam. So you have to know how to make it simpler for you guys to understand what it is. Yes, yes, Empress. So there it is, 0.0050. So we're going to take out the 3 decimal points here to make it a whole number of 25. And we take out 2 decimal points here to make it of a whole number of 2. Then we can multiply. 25 times 2 is 50. When we get our 50, we have to remember to put back our decimal points in. And in order to put back our decimal points, we start at the end of the number you got, and you move it to the left, the amount of times you took out. So you take out 5, you have to move it to the left 5 times. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We use zeros in these placeholders to hold these places. But my question to you guys up here was to put it to the nearest 2 decimal points, right? Yes, so to the nearest two decimal point. Yes, Muffa, we're getting to it. But this is the original answer, but we were asked to put it in two decimal points. So we're going to look at 1, 2. Two decimal point would be here. We look to the right. Is it 5 or more? No, that's a 0. So our answer is 0.00. Do you guys get that?
The answer is 0.05.
No, 0.00. Because remember, this is your original answer when you multiply this problem. So if you want, you can go ahead and cheat and multiply this by your calculator. You're going to get this as your answer. When you get this as your answer, you're asked to round it off to the nearest two decimal point. That means you need two places behind the decimal point. And two places behind the decimal point would be here, right? So this is 1, 2 points. But when we look to the right, that's a 0. Is 0 greater than 5? No. So we're going to cut off everybody here. So only thing that's going to be left is 0.00. Do you guys get that? Yes? No? Maybe so? Let me go back to the chat to see if anybody did get it. All right, so Nika, yeah, you got it. Great job. And Moffat, you guys got that one. Great job. No, Raymond, it's not 0.50. Because remember, I see what you're doing, but remember you had to put back those 5 decimal points in. So that's where you went wrong, Raymond. So when you got your answer of 50, you had to put back your 5 decimal place, and so you're gonna have a couple zeros in front of that 50. You get it? So great job, Nika and Moffat, for that one. Congrats. Oh, you need more the next live? Okay, no problem. All right, for number 2, let's look at number 2. Taryn, do you get it? Are you trying to? Moffat, you're talking to Empress and Chris? All right, so probably the other one you'll get. So let us look at number 2 and see if it becomes a little bit clearer for you. So 1 point. All right, no problem. Raymond is asking for some more my next live. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to go tomorrow because I'm gonna start my journey to Pennsylvania today. And um I know it's gonna be okay, got you, Muffet. I know it's gonna be a very long trip. It's 12 hours and I have to do rest stop, especially with the kids. So it's gonna be a long trip there. My son and my daughter is gonna drive me crazy. All right, so what we're gonna do. So for today's trip, we're gonna do a live as well, going there. I don't know why Raymond like doing lives going on our road trips, but he said he wanted to do a live going to Pennsylvania. That's a long trip. Nobody's gonna. I would get weary, and I guess I'm gonna get exhausted after a couple hours. But I'm gonna be starting the trip. I'm gonna start driving the first couple hours, and then he's gonna do the rest. All right. I don't know what Moffat and Empress is talking about, but I guess they know what they're talking about. All right. So let us look at this. No, it's not fun, Nika. 12 hours with 2 checking mode kids. It's gonna be a lot. All right. We're gonna be looking. I will. Oh my God. I guess you have to laugh, Taryn, because I mean, here goes my darn thing again. Oh, I don't know. Raymond, where do you assist me with this? It's the same thing from yesterday. But it is showing that it's on. I don't know.
It cut off. I don't know. May I
I
see
do.
it
I'm doing the
too?
same thing that I did yesterday.
Alright, may I see you, but the video, your video need to turn on or something. Alright, give me a minute. Oh, for time, we are going. Blessings. You come when Paige almost finish. She just do a little recap. Big up herself in Overton, son of a king. Hold on. Bless up in the king. Alright. Big up Nika, big up Empress, big up Tyron. Me big up Moffat and anybody else who I forgot to say go. Big up, big up, big up. Thank you guys for being here. I know you guys probably got a lot of things doing. Big up Jay. Cause Jay they at work and him still there here go and doing things here. We have to rate that. Z. Taryn, I can't say you learn a lot, you know. See me? Your projector really a get trouble. Yo, you have to go buy a new projector. Cause it a show about 100 hard thing. Guys, remember, we are gonna go live like next couple hours. We are go on a road trip. We know you like can see a 12-hour drive, you know we are do, but come and vibe with me. We are gonna play a game. You see me? Play some nice, you know them car game there. Traffic game there. We are gonna private the life afterwards. Come I play my music. I can't travel on a long journey without my music. I'm mad. You are me dead. Nah, here, mum. I don't know what happened. The projector need for. Yeah, I can't shuffle out the music, man. When Peter drive, me play my music. When Mia drive, she play fair music. Paige don't listen no. She all listen no something there, you know. Dancehall, you know. She listen reggae, but she don't really listen like the dancehall. If I ask her who her latest artist right now, she don't know. She like fair little, what I call that now, hip hop little thing there. Yeah, them type of foreign thing. Yeah. But listen them song about me I'm more reggae person, reggae dancer. I'm a gospel kind of know me I deal with Father God I know so no things that no still ain't no here I don't know a problem. You are close it and come back in still. Alright guys, we are gonna end the live as I say couple hours from now. We are gonna go up on the road trip to Pennsylvania and we are gonna which we teach stuff we say we're gonna continue where we leave off from the decimal places running off. I'm not to get it, you know. I get my brain tough like concrete. Still big up yourself.
All right, I'm gonna redo back. I'm gonna start my next video probably tomorrow. No, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Friday I'll start the video on rounding off again, but we're gonna be looking back at the multiplying of decimals, and then we're gonna start there Friday. All right. I'm sorry about that, guys. I appreciate you guys coming in and being a part of. Oh, I do appreciate it.
Yeah. So as I say, when you join in Nick, I know you have class 12, but we are going to have whole heap of hours. Still more you join in, there I do some, well, I'm sure I have my jerk chicken, I don't feel like, do some jerk chicken to go up on the road, I see it. Hold on. Open the seat. Jack, stop in nice. Jack say, bad breed Jacks. I do some jerk chicken to go up on the road. See me? Don't know, say, you have this, you see me? Trouble there, you know. So that I go on pan what I go on. And the camera phone to see my ugly face. Alright, later guys. Nika, I'm not doing no more after I'm done them, man. I'm gonna need no sausage chicken.
The rest I go.
Shit.
Unless I go bring it up there. So.
Should have jerk on it, babe?
Mm-mm.
Should I have no jerk on?
I don't know still if you can make it stay to come back.